Hi, this is Lindsay from the Awaken Press. I'm here with author Paul Hosh. Hi,
Hi,
Paul.
Lindsay.
Nice to see you. It's good to have you here. So Paul's website is phosh.com. And we have a very special announcement today because Paul's prequel has just been launched called Jersey Goes West. Awesome. Okay, so it's available in ebook format, and this is the cover of the book, the new book cover. Awesome. And so it's available in ebook format. You guys can check it out on Amazon, at the libraries, whatever ebook retailer you prefer, also on Apple iBooks. So go ahead and search for Jersey Goes West. It's a prequel to his first book, Undercover in India. So you can find it all around the world wherever ebooks are sold. So let's talk about Jersey Goes West.
Okay.
So yes. So for us, I mean, I'm really excited about this book because I kind of wish that I lived in the time that you lived in. So I got to live vicariously through you, especially when I first received your manuscript before we really started editing it and publishing it. So of course, I was really excited to learn about all of your adventures during that time. And for those of you who are watching, if you are also dying to know what it was like to survive the 60s, so to speak, this memoir right here is the place to find out. And if you somehow skip that power flower revolution, we will take you down the white rabbit hole for a long last look at what you missed. And Paul here will gladly be your trip guide to a bygone era. So thanks for joining us today. I'm very happy to have you.
Thank you.
Awesome. So how does it feel to have your second book out, which is actually the prequel?
Well, it was great. I mean, this time it was much easier. It's sort of like your second child, you know. You already know what to expect and what not to expect. When I put out the first book, I just thought of all this stuff that could happen, and then not that much really happens. I mean, if people are buying books, it's not like they're reacting to it the day they buy it. They have to read it first. So it takes a while for things to happen. So this time I was more seasoned, you know, it's just like, yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah, that I totally resonate with that. We have to actually wait until maybe 5-6 weeks or so goes by for people to actually read it once the book comes out. So yeah, absolutely, that makes sense. More seasoned too. I love that word. But what gave you the idea of this particular book title? I'm very much in love with this book title.
This book title, okay, I have a visual aid here. This, I don't know if you can see this, but this cardboard box has about 150 titles on.
Ah, cool.
So, you know, I couldn't figure out a title because it starts in New Jersey and ends up in San Francisco, and you can't make a title too long. And then the second problem is almost every title you think of is already used like 8 times. And then there's 2 songs by that name and 3 record albums and 2 movies. So every time I'd think of a title, it was already like really used up. So, you know, like living in the 60s from the Jersey Shore to San Francisco, all of that kind of stuff was too long. And a lot of it was too cliche, you know. So I don't know. One night I just woke up while I was sleeping and I thought of the title Jersey Goes West.
Well, I really like it, and it resonated with me when you suggested it because it is about your travels, right? Do you
Yeah,
want to talk to us a little bit more about what the book is about in a nutshell?
sure. I grew up on the Jersey Shore and I had a lot of problems learning in a classroom. That was like something that really was like blocking me. And then also my parents, my teachers, everybody said, you're so smart, but you're not achieving anything. And in those days, they didn't have like learning disabilities or anything like that. So I was kind of really alienated from the educational system, and the way I dealt with it was just by doing other things. And a lot of that is what I write about in the book. I like to work for a living, and then eventually I got into like drugs and stuff. And I went to college and I studied journalism, and I was a writer. And then I got kicked out of college for what I wrote, among other things, and also having bad grades. And I decided to go out to San Francisco because it was like 1968, 69. And I wanted to, my friend had gone out there and he came back and he was just totally transformed. And I just wanted to get a piece of that. So we drove out to San Francisco, and the second half of the book is about what happened out there, and experiencing the culture, going to all of the concerts and everything. And it was very, very wild time, and I think culturally significant because there hasn't been anything like it since.
I agree. That was one of the reasons why I really, really wanted to publish your work when you first sent it. And I read actually Jersey Goes West before Undercover in India, because that was how you originally had it. Actually, Jersey Goes West, for those of you who didn't know this little tidbit, was supposed to be sort of the first one that we originally wanted to release. And then Undercover in India was kind of the second one, but we decided to reverse it, right?
Well, if you really want to go back before I even met you, it was one book.
That's right.
It was like 650 pages. And I
That's
didn't
right.
think anybody could tolerate that much of my life at one time. So, and also there was a very clear split where I started to do yoga and meditation and quit drugs and stuff. So I just split it into two books, and I think it worked really well that way.
I
Probably
think
better.
it works well. I think it works really well because both of these memoirs are really fun to read. They're fast paced, they're digestible, they have a very clear story arc. You can read them on a plane, you can read them when you're lying on the beach. There's so many nice, leisurely, but also fun places where you can digest that material. And it's very well written. So, one of the other reasons why we really wanted to publish this was because of the literary aspect. I mean, everything that we see there is so well written. It's so well done, very descriptive, and it goes really well with your title, what you've described about this book, Jersey Goes West. You're literally making that travel at a very, I guess you didn't know it at the time, iconic, so to speak, time in history. Who would really know?
Right.
um, until later when we're looking back on it,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, at the time, just culturally, we thought it was a permanent shift, but it
Right.
turned out to be like this little era, you know,
Good
that
point.
just happened for a short time, actually.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people thought that that would totally last, and of course we don't know what our world would have been like if it did. I certainly hope that it would have happened that way. I mean, someone who's
I
gonna
think a
die
lot of us are
someday.
still secretly hoping it
Yes.
happens, but it never seems to, it seems to pedal backwards more than it goes forward.
Well, it's just reading this again has just given me a lot of hope, a lot of encouragement. And it's just fun to read. It feels like you're just in the right place at the right time, and you get to witness all of these amazing events like Woodstock, you know, for the first time, that kind of thing.
Yeah, a lot of my friends compare me to Forrest Gump. They say I'm always in the place where something is going on that becomes history.
Yeah. Well, how does it relate? We talked a little bit in this question about Undercover in India and how the book originally looked like. How does the Jersey Goes West book relate to Undercover in India?
Uh, well, if you read Jersey Goes West, at the end of it, I quit the drug business, like, which was basically how I was making a living. And I decided I had originally thought, like I had originally bought into sort of Timothy Leary's idea that it was like to expand your consciousness was the ultimate game. And it turned into a commercial thing, where everybody was selling stuff and trying to make money off it. And then I just decided that, and some people I knew who were even gravitating towards violence. So I didn't want any part of that. So that's when I decided to stop all that before anything really bad happened, and
Wow.
to get back towards the spiritual side. So I wanted to take yoga classes. So the first book, the Jersey book, ends right when I decide to change my life. And then the second book starts at that exact point. So
Cool.
if you read it, they sort of segue right into each other.
I absolutely love that so much. Yeah. So that's good for those of you who want to know how the books connect to each other. They're very much related. They were one book originally. Um, and I'm curious because I know what some of my favorite scenes in the book are for Jersey Goes West. I mean, I could probably just pick a bunch from the top of my head, but you as the author, what is your favorite scene in this book?
Okay, I'll tell you some of mine, but I want to know one of yours at least. So, okay, so first of all, I think I wrote them all as individual stories to begin with, and then I sort of put them in chronological order as much as I could. So I like the idea of each story being a insulated story. I like the story about that place I went to in high school where everybody used to go after school. It was all dark and dreary, and
Cool.
all the like rebellious kids went there, and it was like really a bad place. But we liked it because we were high school kids, and it was a place nobody else went. So that I thought that was a good story as a story. Um, I don't know why, but I always liked the falafel cart story.
Oh yeah.
Uh, my friends had disappeared, and I didn't know where they went. They lived in New York City. So when I was in college, I always went up and stayed with them for like weekends just to get away from college and to experience New York City, which was like really like another world from where I went to college. So I went up to visit them, and they were gone. And there was their mailbox, their names were crossed off. The landlord didn't know where they were. So I went over this other people's house that I knew to see if they knew where the two guys went. And they were they were real stoners, they were just really out of it. And there was a brother and sister, and they were in this burned out apartment building this giant falafel cart. And I
Yeah.
didn't even know what a falafel was at the time. But like I could see very clearly that this cart was never going to fit out the door. So they were putting all their energy into building this giant cart, and they wanted to put it out in the street. And they just didn't understand when I tried to tell them. It was like I was being negative, you
Oh,
know.
that's so funny.
Don't bum me out, man. We just want to build this. So that was the scene there, and eventually they told me my friends had gone out to the West Coast with these hippies on a school bus, like on a psychedelic school bus, and they didn't know anything more than that. So I at least I found out what happened to my friends. I was afraid they were in jail actually,
Oh,
but
oh my
but
God.
but they went out to the West Coast, and they had this great adventure. So that was another favorite chat. I really liked a lot of them.
That
Uh,
was a really good scene. That made me laugh a lot. I was like, "Oh my goodness, why are they deciding to build a falafel cart? And what if even something worse happened to them aside from going out west?" So I
yeah,
was nervous until I could find out. I won't tell you guys what happened entirely, although you did give some away there.
okay, yeah, and I really liked a lot of chapters. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the stuff about my college roommates, the guy who was a nudist, and I
Mm-hmm.
college roommate, and the other one who was like he was robbing all this stuff from a store and mailing it home to himself. So all of those things like are at the time they're kind of stressful, but like many years later, they're funny. I think that's what people say about comedy. It can be tragedy in the moment, but when you look at it like years later, it becomes funny. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
so
I love
yeah,
that
so
so
there's a
much.
lot of, I mean, to me, the main goal of writing is to entertain. Like
Yeah.
if you can't bore people into a message, you know,
No.
so I tried to be entertaining, and
Oh, that's absolutely such a good point.
it's
You
up to the
know.
reader if I succeeded or not.
Yeah, well, the other scene that I really loved, and there were a lot to choose from, but I'm a Southwest girl. I loved that scene when you were describing driving on Route 66. I think
Right.
that I already commented on this uh, with you at some point. But that was a really awesome scene when you saw the Grand Canyon for the first time. And yeah, I really won't give that away. I want to give little nuggets here, but there was a very unique way in which the Grand Canyon was revealed to you. And I would bet that nobody I know, or perhaps anybody who is watching this video, will be able to guess or have experienced it in that way. So you'll have to find out.
Yeah, that was unusual. And then the policeman stopping us in Texas, and we were definitely carrying, and with a, I don't think she was really underage, but it was pretty close, a young woman.
Okay, so the cover itself, actually, I've had a lot of people ask me who's on the cover. So can you show us Jersey Goes West, the cover again? What's going on?
Does it look like me?
I think so. Yeah.
Um, well, this is a picture like when I left home and went out to the West Coast. I had sent my mother some pictures of me with long hair, and she really didn't like long hair. She was very conservative. So she threw away all the pictures of me with long hair, and there were none left, absolutely none. So I contacted a former friend, a girlfriend in San Francisco, and asked her if she had any pictures of me with long hair. And this was the only one she had. So she sent it to
Photo.
me, and I don't know. I just thought it was suitable to the cover, kind of. I won't say revenge, but you know, my mother didn't want any of these pictures to exist, and now it's on a book cover. I think there's some poetic justice, there. Thank you, Mom, and thank you, Susan, who allowed me to use that photo. So that's the origin of it.
That
I
is
thought it
awesome.
would be a good idea,
I think
for
it looks great. It's very suitable and appropriate for the subject matter as well. And you
yeah. Only
have
one person asked me if it was Charles Manson.
what? Come on. It does not look
They said it looks like Charles Manson. I said, no, it's me.
no, it does not look like Charles Manson.
I
That
hope not. I hope not.
well, what's cool is that this photo was originally in black and white, right? And so we
Yeah,
colorized it,
right.
which is really cool. We used some modern technology to make the photo come to life, which looks really good.
Yeah,
I
there's just so much stuff online now to do things like that, and it looks very natural.
you want to show us again right before? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so that was originally in black and white. So look how
Yeah,
cool that looks. I mean, it looks like just it's come to life again, really. So
yeah,
yeah, very cool. So what about, I really need to talk to you about the artwork that's inside Jersey Goes West, because you
yeah,
also had artwork, original artwork going into Undercover in India. So
yeah.
is there
This
anything
is one of
you
the
want to mention?
paintings up here that was in the book. Um,
Beautiful.
I mean, I studied illustration. I went to art school in Philadelphia and studied illustration and graphic design, and I never illustrated anything. I mean, like a book or anything. I did a couple magazines over the years, and I was mostly doing tourist art in Hawaii. But I thought, yeah, I should do some illustrations for this book. So I just, started, and I also like the ones where the people have big heads and
Yeah.
small. So I thought, oh, I'm going to do them all like that.
Yeah.
which I did. And I just had a lot of fun with it. I think there are 15 of them or more in each book. And I just had fun with the illustrations. I mean, it was really amusing.
Well, they look great inside the book. They really complement the work. And I needed to make sure that people knew that it was you who illustrated this,
Yeah.
because sometimes different illustrators do the work for art for authors.
Yeah.
So that worked out great.
Yeah,
Um,
I tried to, illustrate as many of the stories as I had time for. And it was great to be my own boss, too.
yes,
I really didn't have to say, what do you think of this? Is it okay? It was like, it is okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Aside from all of the amazing scenes in the book that I feel that people are already having a lot of fun with, and intrigued by the things that you've experienced, people who weren't there get to live it through your eyes. They get to be in your shoes, which I think is really amazing. And it's kind of like a secondhand, I guess, experience for the readers. You've had that firsthand experience, but it's a perfect way of storytelling, of literally allowing somebody else to come in your shoes to see all of the things that have been going on. Um, but out of all the scenes and all of the things that have happened in Jersey Goes West, what is, or what would you say is the main thing, if there is a main thing, that you hope that readers will get out of this particular book?
Well, I guess if you go back to the problems I had when I was a kid, so much, I had so many problems with the adult world, and I think that caused me to become the person I was at that time, getting involved with drugs, being very, outside of society. If that helps somebody with their own kids, that's great. I mean, that would be a great message. I'm not really a message writer consciously, but I think that would be something useful to parents who have kids with problems that they don't understand. You know, I grew up very much, if nothing else, misunderstood.
Mhm.
So I sort of like just gravitated and created my own world outside the family, and I think that's could be like a what you would call an overarching theme.
Mhm. I really relate to that. What you're saying, your words touch me because, and the way you describe it with the word problems, I don't know. I feel like it is my belief that our society in the Western world here is very rigid with certain things, especially in school. And there's
Yeah.
so many other talents that do not necessarily get exposed in the classroom setting. And it doesn't mean that one person is not brilliant or talented in many ways. And sometimes I think that there's maybe sometimes a lot of ignorance involved in the teaching. That's just my belief, but I will take a stand on that. And so I appreciate this very honest point of view, especially as it comes through the work. And I
I
think
appreciate your, yeah, I appreciate your appreciation. But
people.
if you go back to like when I was being raised, like in the 50s and early 60s, you can just multiply what you just said times 10.
Yeah.
It was just so much more rigid and so much less was known about, how to raise kids and deal with kids. I mean, there's still people out there who don't know anything,
Yes.
but there are people who do, so
Yeah, very
it's
well
definitely
put.
better than it was, but it's got a long way to go.
I agree. And I really think a lot of people will relate to that. Will definitely understand that. And um, so that's really great. Your perspective on that is absolutely eye-opening. Um, so for Jersey Goes West, is there anything else that you would love the readers to know?
Well, I think we've pretty summed it up pretty well. I just want readers to enjoy it, and if they can, read both books, and there'll be a third one coming out in about a year, maybe less, but about a year, about my 16 years working in the tourist industry in Hawaii. So that'll be the third in this, like a trilogy. And I also would like feedback from readers. Like if anybody wants to comment on anything positive or negative, I'd love to hear it. So I guess that's about it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah, the Hawaii book too. Very excited to release that sometime soon in 2024. Very much looking forward to that. And thank you so much for all of your insights and for letting us into your world with not only your writing, but with everything that you've discussed here.
Thank
So
you.
it's awesome. Yeah, of course. And so for those of you who are interested in learning more, you can go to Paul's website at phosch.com. So it's the letter P and then HOSCH.com. It's going to have all the information about both of his ebooks. Both Undercover in India and Jersey Goes West are available in ebook format wherever books are sold. Okay, and we will have further interviews with Paul because the subject matter of his work is very interesting, not just from a memoir perspective, but from other aspects as well. So please stay tuned for some other interviews with Paul Hosch and myself, Lindsay from the Awakened Press, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again.
Thank you.